So my name's Cassidy. I'm the Hub Manager at Green Economy New Brunswick. Our two guest speakers today are Sean Chisholm, NB Power's Program Lead for the Commercial Sector, Energy Efficiency Services, and Spencer Devereaux, NB Power's Program Lead for the Industrial Sector, Energy Efficiency Services. Sean and Spencer will be presenting the core content of today's presentation. And we're also supported today by Ashley Anthony, Green Economy New Brunswick's Member Engagement Specialist, who will be monitoring the chat window throughout the webinar. And we also have Esther Iban with us, Green Economy New Brunswick's Communications and Events Coordinator, who's providing the simultaneous translation for today's presentation. Thank you for that, Esther. So in today's webinar, we'll briefly introduce Green Economy New Brunswick and provide an introduction to energy efficiency, explain why energy efficiency is so important, and highlight why energy efficiency projects could be among the first go-to initiatives for any business seeking to lower their greenhouse gas emissions. We'll then segue into the core content of energy efficiency funding from NB Power and highlight their business rebate program. We'll wrap up today's session with a question and answer period and make sure you know where to go for further information on both Green Economy New Brunswick and NB Power's business rebate program. So I'd like to share a bit more about Green Economy New Brunswick for those of you who aren't familiar with us. Green Economy New Brunswick is a provincial nonprofit hub that works with organizations of all sectors and sizes to take on climate action and maximize the business benefits of their sustainability work. We were developed to help fill this knowledge and capacity gap that businesses are experiencing and provide the tools, framework, and starting point to accelerate our transition to a net zero economy. At Green Economy New Brunswick, our members go through a standard milestone journey, moving from measuring their greenhouse gas emissions through an environmental footprint to developing action plans and setting reduction targets, and then implementing those plans to achieve results. They are encouraged to actively update and reimagine their plans and targets as they move forward with the goals embedding sustainability into the core of their operations and how they do business. Members are provided with a variety of tools and services, and you can see those outlined at the bottom of the screen. At a high level, they involve providing one-on-one support, tools, and resources, helping businesses measure their greenhouse gas footprint and reporting on their sustainability efforts, providing training, educational workshops, and peer networking events, and recognizing and celebrating the progress that they're making towards sustainability. We're part of a national network that has engaged over 500 green economy leaders across the country to date. Collectively, these businesses have reduced greenhouse gas emissions by more than 200,000 tons per year so far, many of whom through reductions through energy efficiency improvements, and which is equivalent to taking about 60,000 cars off the road annually. So let's get into the reasons of why we're here today, energy efficiency. So what is New Brunswick's current state as it relates to energy consumption? Well, to begin with, energy cuts across all industry sectors, and the efficient use and consumption of that power is everyone's responsibility. Based on the data available from New Brunswick's business energy and emissions profile, we know that small to medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs, make up 99% of the business ecosystem here in New Brunswick. On average, SMEs in New Brunswick, 39% of their emissions come from electricity use, and an additional 26% of their emissions come from building energy. Put together, electricity use and building energy represent approximately 65% of the total emissions that could be effectively reduced through energy efficiency measures. Furthermore, SMEs in New Brunswick also generate over 1.54 million tons of CO2 emissions every year. Excuse me. What exactly do we mean by energy efficiency? Broadly speaking, energy efficiency means using less energy to perform the same task. It's a measure of energy input to productivity output. When we think about energy consumption, we can think about the energy we use to run equipment and processes, the energy we use to heat, cool, and manage the environments in which we work and live, and the energy we use to switch on lights, as well as many more. Now, there are opportunities for each of us to reduce energy across our operations through many different tactics, whether it's investing in equipment upgrades, selecting more efficient models when purchasing new, changing processes to be more efficient, or implementing behavioral and governance stages with your staff. So now, reducing your energy consumption can have a great many benefits, including improving your bottom line. Energy costs are often one of the largest components of a business's overhead, commonly representing 25% or more of a business's operating costs. And energy costs are continuing to be on the rise as inflation makes everything more expensive. There's also the benefit of right-sizing your energy demand. Energy efficiency is crucial to ensuring your energy demands are right-sized to your business's operations and do not exceed what should be required to achieve your desired operating activities and outcomes. Of course, reducing your greenhouse gas emissions. While reducing these emissions don't occur when you flip on the light switch, they do occur at the point of electricity generation, especially where those sources of energy are non-renewable in origin, like from coal-fired power generating stations, for example. The current reality in New Brunswick is that we're transitioning to renewable energy, but still use a mix of low and high emission energy generation technologies. Because of this, there's an even bigger opportunity for businesses in New Brunswick to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions than it would be in a province like Quebec, for example, that has a low emissions grid. In New Brunswick, collectively, SMEs have the potential to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by about 334,000 tons of CO2 a year, using energy efficiency measures alone. Now, that's the equivalent to taking 71,000 vehicles off the road, and I'd say that's pretty exciting. And of course, they're staying ahead of the curve. The growing movement to accelerate our transition to a vibrant and inclusive net zero economy is being felt by businesses and organizations across all sectors. We also know that uncertainty is increasingly becoming the norm, from supply chain disruptions to extreme weather events causing power outages. Integrating sustainability into your decision-making processes, and wherever possible, localizing your operations, energy production, and supply chain can help to build a more resilient and competitive business ecosystem for the long term. So as you can see from all of the key points we discussed above, energy efficiency is a great focus area to start on for any business looking to take on action, climate action. And energy efficiency saves money, reduces emissions, and helps build resilience in your business. It's a win-win situation. So now that we've talked about energy efficiency and its benefits, where can you start to look for energy efficiency opportunities in your own business? Let's think about your operations for a moment. A big source of emissions for many businesses come from the energy they use to heat and cool their offices and production facilities, power the lighting and equipment they use, and run the processes and operations they conduct in the run of their day-to-day business activities. Think about your lighting and your appliances, the office equipment you have, the processing and manufacturing equipment you may have, or even the environmental control systems. These are all excellent opportunities for energy efficiency. Some of the actions you could look at taking include lighting retrofits, like implementing LEDs, identifying what equipment is at the end of its life, and ensuring you're buying energy efficient options when replacing it. Identifying what equipment you absolutely need and right-size it to your operations. For example, do you need that breakout room fridge that only one staff member uses, or could you look at an alternative option? Even implementing lighting controls and building automation, for example. Adding motion sensors to lights infrequently in use in areas that are not heavily trafficked so they can turn off automatically when no one's there. These are all easily implementable off-the-shelf technological solutions to address energy efficiency. So here's a quick case study to showcase what one business from our network has done to improve their energy efficiency and the huge benefits they've seen in their costs, emissions reductions, and progress towards their greenhouse gas emissions targets. Veriform started their sustainability journey in 2006 by implementing a suite of 36 projects, which paid for themselves within 6 months and also happened to reduce their carbon emissions by 30%. This dual financial and environmental win prompted Veriform to continue down this path, and they set an ambitious goal to reach net zero within 10 years. They reached that goal in 2015, implementing a total of 100 projects, which reduced their emissions by 75% and purchasing carbon offsets for the rest. They worked with their staff to identify opportunities for operational and behavioral changes to be made. And one opportunity they identified was their bay doors being left open frequently by staff, even in the winter months. They implemented a small change, installing a disconnect that turns off the heat when the bay doors are open. And this small change had a big impact, saving them close to $8,000 a year, meaning the project had a return on investment of a few months and reduced by 47 tons their greenhouse gas emissions annually. Now, we also know that investments in energy efficiency aren't always cheap, and it isn't always easy finding the right funding programs to support your energy reduction work. And that's why we've invited Sean and Spencer from NB Power here today to share more about the programs they offer to help you identify the right fit for your organization. And with that, I'm really excited to hand over the microphone to Sean and Spencer to continue today's webinar. Over to you, Sean.
Hello, everyone. And thank you for joining. Today, we're going to talk about how we can help you in your business and save energy and reduce emissions. So as a company, NB Power is committed to helping New Brunswick businesses thrive through innovation, energy expertise, and value-added programs, products, and services. We are New Brunswickers through and through ourselves, and we're here to help you. So the simplest way to say this exactly is this: money to help you save money. In the next few slides, we will show where NB Power plays a role in this with the incentive programs we have to offer for all businesses, both in the commercial and industrial sectors. To start off, this is a list of the available programs we have for business, which we will talk about as we get started. So without further ado, here we go. So the Business Rebate Program, this is the latest program NB Power has to offer to the business sector, which is filling a gap that was very evident prior, where customers wanted to do one thing and one thing only and didn't want any hassle with audits or studies. It has been popular and is gaining traction as we speak when people actually realize what this can incent. So the Business Rebate Program is a rebate program that caters to all commercial and small and medium industrial businesses. This new program provides simple, accessible product rebates that do not require an audit or a feasibility study. It's a simple, easy program. This new incentive stream will complement the existing commercial building retrofit program, and it provides an option for simple standalone efficiency measures. So the financial incentives based on for the commercial building retrofit program is, the Business Rebate Program. Participants can get 25% off the eligible project costs up to $250,000. Now, these incentives are offered on a first come, first served basis until December 31st of 2023, or until these funds are depleted. So you ask who is eligible? Any New Brunswick commercial business or any New Brunswick small business, industrial business is eligible. So it only excludes large industrial businesses as well as the federal government themselves. And some of the examples of the eligible products that we allow to come through is efficient air compressors, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, HVAC, and then lighting controls, as well as the lighting themselves and motors. So this is really simple. It's you apply now, you apply online application using the address here, which everyone will get a copy of this presentation, as well as you can email the program team itself. The email is here as well. So moving on, here's Commercial Building Retrofit Program, or otherwise CBRP. The CBRP is one of the oldest efficiency programs in New Brunswick. and it's the most comprehensive one we have for commercial buildings. The Commercial Building Retrofit Program is designed to give you a roadmap off the road to energy efficiency for your building in various aspects, such as initial cost, return on investment, and the overall savings broken down per project or measure. So the Commercial Building Retrofit Program goals is as listed here. And basically we're here to have a healthier and more comfortable workspace, which usually involves improvements to the heating, ventilation, air conditioning, where the systems being proposed are to work together to give a more uniform temperature and air quality through the space. This could also mean lighting, where the right amount of light lessens eye strain and potentially help when diagnosing problems in a shop area, for example. The increase in safety and security may once again involve lighting, where areas previously in dark can now be illuminated, such as the parking lot area, garbage bin area, and even some hallways and stairwells. Lighting tripping hazards, as well as less areas for anyone to hide in. Another advantage in using LED lights in these areas instead of high pressure sodium is the ability to distinguish colors. This is perfect in a sales environment, being able to see true colors at day as well as during the night. The savings on maintenance and downtime to keep everything running smoothly also increases your customer's positive experience and your bottom line. The price of carbon is here to stay, and lessening our footprint will not only help us, but the future generations that are coming after us. So you ask who's eligible. It's NB Power General 1 or 2 rate code, or anybody that's categorized as such by one of the following organizations: St. John Energy, Edmonton Energy, Perth Andover Lake Commission. And some of the examples of eligible entities are as listed here. Basically, we're open to all NB Power or all New Brunswick business customers, whether it's NB Power or whomever utility may be. So the various eligible measures. Basically, any project that's going to save energy as well as a reduction in greenhouse gas, GHGs, are eligible for an incentive. So such examples may be renewable energy, whether that's wind, solar, biomass. We also have insulation, air sealing of your building envelope, windows and doors. Heating, ventilation, air conditioning. So we got rooftop units, waste oil furnace replacements, and various heat pumps. The building management control systems. Air compressors, improved ventilation systems, again, such as exhaust extractors in some warehouses and whatever else have you. And then you also have, of course, the interior and exterior lighting. Then you have hot water recovery systems, such as in wash bays or even in arenas. So to get started within the Commercial Building Retrofit Program, you can have an ASHRAE Level 2 audit done, which there is incentives for the audit itself. These ASHRAE Level 2 audits give you a roadmap to energy savings, like I mentioned prior, and allows you to have incentives for Class 1 up to 15,000 square feet. You initially have $1,100 as soon as the proof of payment of that audit has been presented. Class 2 is 15,000 up to 75,000 square feet. Once again, it shows $2,200 initially. And Class 3 is anything over 75,000. Initially get $3,300 back towards that audit. Now, the asterisks beside each one of the ones that are of a higher value, this will be incented up to this level, so potentially up to 100% of the cost of the audit, when one or more of the measures have been completed and paid for. This additional incentive would be paid as well. So the feasibility study will be done by an approved specialized service provider or an energy management service provider and they're listed on the NB Power's website. This will be a targeted approach, differing from the ASHRAE Level 2 audit, where it's going to concentrate on one measure and the savings associated with that measure. The incentives for feasibility study will be calculated based on the energy type that's being displayed. So electricity, if it's mostly electricity being saved, it's $60 a gigajoule. Or if it's fossil fuels, it's 25% off the total cost to do that measure, up to $1 million. These feasibility studies are also being reimbursed once the identified project has been completed and paid for. And it's at the same levels as it is for the audit, the initial incentive. So class 1, from 0 to 15,000 square feet is 1,100. Class 2, anything from 15,000 up to 75,000 is 2,200, and class 3 at 75,000 and over, it's going to be $3,300. So to reiterate, financial incentives for projects that are reducing electricity, it's going to be $60 a gigajoule, or a different way of saying that is 22 cents a kilowatt hour saved annually, up to $250,000 towards the implementation of the electrical energy efficiency upgrade that's been chosen. Now, there are also incentives for projects, as previously mentioned, that reduce non-electric fuels. Now, this is through what's called the Low Carbon Economy Fund, which is a federal fund. And these incentives are 25% of the eligible costs, up to $1 million per entity, towards these measures that show a majority of energy savings in the fossil fuel use, which also must result in reduction in greenhouse gas. These incentives are offered on a first-come, first-served basis until December 31st, 2023, or until these funds are depleted. So these projects must be completed, paid for, and commissioned if necessary, and submitted to NB Power prior to December 31st of 2023 in order to get these incentives. So it's pretty straightforward with applying here as well. If you're planning on doing a feasibility study, please contact us first, and we'll help you with that as well. And if you plan on scheduling an energy audit or feasibility study, you must contact one of the EMSPs, or energy management service providers, or the specialized service provider if you want to do a feasibility study that's listed on our website. These entities, the EMSP or the SSP, will submit an application to us on your behalf. So once again, if there's any questions, email our energy efficiency program team at the email listed here. And now I'm going to hand it over to Spencer Devereaux to take us through the industrial.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Spencer Devereaux. I'm the industrial sector lead. So I'm going to cover our industrial sector programs that we have in market. So the first one's the Industrial Energy Efficiency Program. The program was launched in 2017. There's still a large focus on capacity building, even though it's been in market for about 5 years now, and working to give customers the knowledge and expertise in order for them to make the right decisions when it comes to energy efficiency. So we work with our customers to help identify opportunities. We host training events. We have an energy leaders group, which is a peer-to-peer group for learning opportunities. We do webinars. We do site visits. Essentially, whatever the customer asks for, we try to help them. So you're probably wondering why we want you to use less electricity, which means less revenue for us as a company. So we have our own goal of reducing megawatts off the grid through a number of initiatives at NB Power, not just energy efficiency. But energy efficiency is one of the most cost-effective ways to do this. It comes in at about 1/3 of the cost versus building new generation. So we have a lot of assets and different things happening in the near future, and every megawatt that we take off the grid means we can make new generating stations either that much smaller, push that investment out a little bit longer, and it also just makes sense for us to get rid of waste on the grid. And as Sean mentioned, we also have funding available to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So we're working to help reduce GHGs in the province as well. So here are a few examples, I guess, of some eligible measures. Lots of overlap with the programs Sean spoke about earlier. So what we're looking for in projects are projects that increase the energy efficiency of a system. They reduce the energy intensity of a process. So thinking about it on a per unit basis, energy management systems, fuel switching, and renewables. So you can see some project examples on the screen. We have lighting, compressed air, refrigeration, HVAC, heat recovery, fuel switching, and then our energy intensity reduction. So this slide may be a little bit overwhelming. It has a lot of really good information in there, but these are all of the incentives available to our industrial customers. Like Sean mentioned earlier, we have energy audits and feasibility studies. So an energy audit is a comprehensive site-wide audit that takes all fuel sources into account. A feasibility study is on a specific system rather than site-wide. So think of something like compressed air only, or only looking at your boiler, or something along those lines. We have project funding for both electric and non-electric fuels. So for electricity, you can access up to $500,000 per project. And then similar to what Sean mentioned, for greenhouse gas reduction projects, you can access up to $1 million. And let me see if I can get the laser pointer out here. So then if you're interested in formalizing your approach to energy management, you can check out our Energy Management Information System funding, which is this one right here. We can help with the audit and design of the system, the cost of the software and metering, and then optimizing that system. So we can help with 50% of the project cost up to a total incentive of $155,000. We also have our peak rebate program, which is this line right here. It's a demand response program that runs from December to March. So this program provides an incentive to customers who reduce their peak between a 7 to 9 a.m. window. So this is a program that is helping NB Power manage their peak on the grid. So hopefully that means that we run less of those fossil fuel plants during the winter. And then the first program that Sean spoke about, the business rebate program, so that's also eligible for small industrial customers as well. Yep, so that's it for industrial. If you're interested and you're not sure where to start, we also offer a free energy walkthrough service for someone from our industrial team will show up at your site, walk through your facility, help identify opportunities, and get you started in our programs. If you're interested and you have a project ready, you can apply online at this URL right here. And also my contact information is on the slide as well. So feel free to either give me a call or send me an email anytime. And that is it for me. if you have any questions, how did we want to handle questions, Cassidy?
That's great. Thank you both very much. I'm going to bring up a contact slide for all of our organization. And thank you both for delivering that great content. That's certainly why we came together today. Also, thanks to everybody for participation. I hope you found today's webinar helpful and informative. We're going to get to questions in just a moment.